we have in communities in Israel. Tonight we're joined by Nizar, Lorena, Jonathan, Nasreen, Muhammad. Please join me in welcoming our guests.
So I'm going to be using this microphone. Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Al-Khoury and I'm a Lebanese Christian. Now lives in Israel. And I'm a minority coordinator at the organization Reserves Duty. Before I begin explaining about that a bit, I want to thank SSI Movement for having us on this campus, and I want to thank you all for coming to hear us and hear our stories. Okay, so a bit about the organization. It's called Reservists on Duty because it was established by reservist combat soldiers in the IDF, in the Israeli Defense Forces. These soldiers, the combat soldiers that fought in Israeli wars, noticed at some point that a lot of organizations across states and in the world are blaming them for violating human rights and blaming them for mistreating the Palestinians during their operations. So they decided to speak about their service. They decided to speak about those operations that they were active on. And during that time, we decided to open this minority project within the minority Israelis that live in Israel. And the reason for that is that we noticed that a lot of the same organizations that are saying these things about the IDF are using us, the minorities in Israel, in order to attack Israel and say that Israel is mistreating us, that Israel is not letting us thrive or have our own beliefs or be able to live as decent human beings in our country and in our lands. So I would like to show you a short video of what happened to us during, wait a minute, okay. The video almost started. Mohammed Kabi and I, one of the speakers that can speak later tonight, we participated in Apartheid Week at University of Irvine in California. Everyone here knows what an Apartheid Week is? In some college campuses and some universities, groups like SJP, the Student Justice for Palestine, decided to build this wall. They call it the Apartheid Wall, and present like this wall over here. This is at Irvine. And what they do is that they write a lot of false information about Israel and a lot of negative information that presents Israel in a wrong way. So it. Okay, this is not the real White House, by the way. Okay, that was. Thank you. That was a surprise. So what happened at Irvine that we went there as part of this organization, the Reservists on Duty, and we were standing on campus with Israeli flags, with our signs, and we wanted to have a conversation with students that are passing by and letting them have the two points of view and not only one image that this wall presents. So I just want to show you what happened there. I don't want to. Okay.
University, we told you with Each of you is genocide! And what about what you say?
Just when they started to see, oh, this guy had some questions that don't know how to answer that, they're immediately like, no, no problem. We got to be.
I would like the source for this. Can I get it, please? I would like the source for this. I've never seen this in my life, and I live there and I served in the Israeli army.
45% of it are non-Jews. And not the 55% of it are non-Jews. There's special fact that they're lying. They're lying because I'm allowed to think of it like, and you don't have enough.
And how $1 billion was traveling into Gaza and to the West Bank. And where does it go? Why are we living in multi-million-dollar mansions when their people are starving?
I'm not getting paid a dime to be here. I'm here because I believe in liberal thinking. I don't believe in hate speech. I don't believe in incitement. And I think that this is what this is. Stop being so hateful. Stop being so anti.
No, seriously, man. When you guys killed 3 kids, you guys loved it. You celebrated it.
The second the Jewish students, when I learn different from you, feel uncomfortable to walk back here, yeah, let's stand up for that. As an American, as an Israeli, as a former IDF soldier.
Yeah, this is just 3 minutes of what we went through the whole week at Irvine. And later on, we had an event with the SSI chapter at UC Irvine, and we had 50 people from SJP come to our event. They shut down our event, and we had to have a police escort because they were blocking our way out of the classroom, and we weren't able to go out of campus without a police escort. Thank God that nothing happened to us, and later on, campus found them guilty, and now they are on probation because of the things that they say and the things that they did. One of our delegation members was spat on, and a lot of them pushed one of the others, but we got through it. A bit of information before we start sharing the stories of Israel's minorities. Some of the numbers about the minorities that lives in Israel. There are 1.8 million Muslims living in Israel. Out of them, there are 350,000 Bedouins. Christians, we are around 170,000. It's only 2% of the Israeli population. The Jewish community are around 140,000, and others, 388,000. Others are like the Baha'is or other religious that we have in Israel. So without further ado, I would like to present our first speaker, Lorena Khatib. Lorena is from Forsmeer village. It's in the north, and she's Druze. And she's going to present you her story and the Druze community's story in Israel.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, thank you for having us, for coming to listen to our stories. My name is Lorena Khatib. I'm 21 years old. I'm from Smyrna village in the Galilee. It's a village in the north of Israel. So, I'm a BA student in Haifa University. I study sociology and anthropology, and this is my 3rd year. And I came from a very traditional environment, so it's not allowed and acceptable for me to be here and speak a bit about this. And I came from a military family background. My dad was a warden, and my brother also works in the Army Khalif. This is my brother, my father, sorry. And in in our religion and society, only men can and should do the army service. Women can be part of the field activity. So I did a 1 year of national service in the Druze Youth Organization. I was the leader of the group. It was like 20 children. And I will introduce myself. So I have received the Minister of Education's Award in 2014. I have participated also in UNICEF, United Nations Children Fund, for like 3 years. I'm doing right now an internship here in a social organization called Open Door, the Israeli Association for Families, as a telephone advisor. And now, sorry. Okay, as I said before, that I'm a Druze girl. So Druze community is a small minority in Israel. We are an Arab-speaking community that have split from Shia Ismaili. It's a group of the Muslims in the 11th century. We resemble more than 100 citizens in Israel, and the other are residents of the Golan Heights. And the Druze community are also called Bani Ma'ruf or Muwahidun, according to the belief that there is one God. Muwahidun from the word Wahid. Wahid means in Arabic, in English, sorry, one. So we believe in, according to the belief that we believe in one God. So, as I said before, that the Druze is a community, a small minority in Israel. So, life as a minority in Israel, in my point of view, is amazing and challenging. Because on one side, I don't like people who categorize me as loyal Druze because we do the army service and we serve, and we also do the army service. But for example, the Druze community have sacrificed more than 400 soldiers in the field activities in the wars. But on the other side, I can say that we give all of our debt as a minority, and we get all of our rights. So there is no place in the whole world that the Druze community can express and feel independent like in Israel. And sorry. And for example, Israel was the first country that have recognized the Druze community as a unique religion. So I can give you another example. A Druze woman, when Syria and Jordan can go in the streets with the head cover of the woman, of the religious woman. So like the Muslims, they have the hijab. The Druze women have the niqab. We call it niqab. So and they can't go in the streets with it because it's not allowed and it's not acceptable. I can give you another example. Like in Israel, in every Arab culture, there's no equality between women and men, and I think you all know that. So, in a state, in a country like Israel, we get all of our rights to break this silence, to speak, to get all of our rights. So, I think that there is no place that we can feel independent, like we can be an integral part as a woman in the society. So that's all. Thank you for having us here again, and thank you for listening to all my stories.
Thank you very much, Rita. I think that I should have warned you before. English is our third language, so you might see us all hesitate a bit before we say a word because we want to make sure that we're saying the right word. Okay, let's continue to our next speaker. It's going to be Nizar Jaraisi. He's a Christian from north of Israel. Well, I'm going to sum it all up. We are all from the north. So just for you to have, Nizar, here you go.
Good afternoon. Good. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us here. Yeah. I'm Nizar Jaraisi. I'm 22 years old. I live in the north of Israel, what we call Upper Galilee. I live in a really nice and calm village. And I'm Israeli Christian. So the majority of the Christians in Israel lives in the north. Some of them live in Haifa region, and the rest of them lives in Jerusalem. Christians in Israel, as we said, is 170,000. A long-term test shows that the most successful minority in Israel is Christians. So it's a bit challenging, I would say. So I grew up in an environment that full of rumors, and studied in an Arabic-speaking school where I heard a lot about Palestine and Israel, which is the conflict, and that was the time that was exposed to this issue. And I heard a lot of people saying that Arabs don't get the same rights as the Jews. Jews tries to kick out the Arabs from their lands. People are being involved in the wars and being killed. That they are innocent. And I recognize that a lot of those facts are false facts. And I wanted to gather as much as I can information so I can know what is happening around me. I just wanted to check out that situation of the Christians minorities that lives in Arab countries surrounding Israel, the neighbors. And what I really found was total shock for me, because I noticed that the Christians in Arab countries are being persecuted. And some of them even by extremists are being beheaded and raped, women and children, and churches being bombed and burned. So comparing it to Israel, none of these brutal attacks can happen to my people, to the citizens in Israel, the minorities in generally. So what I can say is, don't get me wrong, Israel's not perfect too. Okay, we have racist people, but we have the law that protects us as minorities. And we have the IDF for sure that protect our borders, and me especially, and my village, and my people, and every citizen that lives in Israel. I just thought about, after finding all those total shock and things that I've been searching for, I tried to dedicate a time and try to return the favor to the country that help us to be alive because of the enemy that's surrounding us. And I just wanted to integrate in the society, the Israeli society. And I decided at the age of 18, when I finished high school, to join the army. So that's me in the army. At the age of 18, I joined the army to a combat unit as a combat fighter in the Armored Corps. I served for 3 years, and I finished 1 year ago. My family supported my choice, joining the army. Others in my village didn't really like the fact that I'm wearing the uniform of the IDF. I might say that in other Arab villages, people like myself have been persecuted more than me, and even being attacked and humiliated, and even it came to physical attacks. So why is that happening? Actually, that happens because of the misleading information that they get from the Arab leaders, which makes them gather more and more hate instead of working in coexistence and grow more peaceful thoughts. That what happens to people like myself wearing the IDF uniforms. They accused us, the Christians in Israel, of being part of killing people, innocent people in the wars, and humiliating and violating basic human rights for Palestinians. And I saw it myself. I experienced it myself in my service in the army. That Hamas is using a really smart and a really useful technique in the wars. And the question is, why are those innocent people involved in these wars? They are being killed, and it's a tragedy for me to hear that human life loss are being like that killed. They're not related to anything. So Hamas keep the innocent people inside public places, whereas rocket launchers and plus ammunition. Public places, I'm talking about schools, mosques, nursing home, could be anything that considered as public. So I experienced it myself, and I saw the Air Forces. It was in the wars. The Air Forces were just flying. The jet fighters were flying to Gaza Strip, trying to just to see where is those rocket launchers placed, and they were in public places. They cared always about the innocent people, in a matter of fact, and they always spread fires when Hamas didn't even care about them. It was their game. They threatened them that if they leave the place, they will get killed. And that is the game of Hamas. That will share that Arab Communication News will share this to the world. And those pictures you see, it's because of them. And it's a completely tragedy for me. But what else can I say? So they keep them in those places, and that happens. I think that it is time to say enough is enough, and we need to see a change. Every peace stone that Israel tries to build, Hamas hammer, smash it instantly. We do look for a change, and we will always still believe in peace. So thank you for having us today. Thank you for listening to me. And that would be it. Thank you.
We're going to continue with our next speaker, Nasreen Khalifa here. And now we're going to start our section of the Bedouin community, because we have two Bedouins with us tonight. And yeah. So let's start with Nasreen. She's from the north as well. She's going to introduce herself.
Hi. First of all, it's my honor to be here today and share with you my story. I used to be an Arab study when Muslims were in Israel. My name is Nasreen Khalifa. I'm 20 years old, and I have just finished the national service. I live in Area. Area is a Jewish city, and I believe in coexistence. As I grew up, I celebrated both holidays, Jewish and Muslims together. I learned in a Jewish school. I have Arab friends and Jewish friends. Generally, people always wanted to know about my culture, about the way I live my life. And it wasn't normal those days, but they always accepted me. And I serve in the national service by choice. And I believe this can prove us that Muslims and Jewish people can live together in coexistence. In Israel, every 18 years old, citizens committed to the national service or the army. Besides Christians and Muslims, they can to serve only if they want to. I decided to serve because I believe that we make a living by what we get, and we make a life by what we give. Okay. For example, this is my sister. My sister enjoyed to the military lawyers unit. My family always touched me to love where I live, and I always felt belong to Israel. After the school, all my friends started to serve in the national service or the army, and I chose to go to the national service for 1 year. And okay, actually, my father was 37 years in the IDF. He was one of the founders of the Trackers Bedouin unit. He led the chief of staff of the IDF, and he was the first Arab who reached the rank of colonel. And he had very close relations with the chief of staff of IDF. He died before 5 years from cancer. And I think all the things that I told you can prove us that Muslims and Jewish can live together in peace, in respect, in coexistence in Israel. Thank you for listening to me. It was my honor.
I don't know if you didn't mention that, but the 3 photos over here, you can see the 3 recent chief of staffs in the IDF. Her father was really known, and he led and opened the way for Bedouins, especially, and for Arabs, to start their years in the IDF. And to continue this story, keep this photo. Okay, to continue this story, I'm going to invite Muhammad Kabia from the village Kabia in northern Israel. I'm from Kabia Street 1. They don't have streets in the village.
I asked from Jonathan to give this photo because I want to say in Israel, a Bedouin soldier who is lead the high officers in the army in the IDF, and this is Israel. I'm 27 years old from the village Karabia, a Bedouin village in the north of Israel. Yes. I'm a student for political science and Middle East history, and I'm a strategic consultant for the IDF and for the Foreign Affairs Minister about the Arab War. I want to begin with who are the Bedouins. All of the Bedouins, they are Muslims. The Prophet Muhammad was a Bedouin, and the first people that believe in Muhammad and share the Islam was the Bedouins. The Bedouins in Israel, all of them, the majority, not all of them, the majority came from the Arab states like Saudi, Kuwait, Iraq, and other Arab states. And my tribe specifically came from Saudi before many centuries. And the Bedouins in Israel, they are 350,000 people. The bigger part is in the south, the second part is in the north where I live. And I want to share with you a personal story and how for me the first connection was with the Jewish people in Israel land. I want to go back to 1936. After the first partition plan, Arab insurgents schemed to kill Alexander Zaid. Alexander Zaid was ahead of the Shomer movement, the first Jewish security movement in the Galilee Valley. And one sheikh heard about the schemes and decided to protect Alexander Zaid family. And when the insurgents came, he attacked and the insurgents and defend the family, Zaid's family, his wife Tzipora and children, Giora, Itach. This sheikh was my great-grandfather. And for me, for my tribe, for my communities, was the first connection and the first basis stone of the blood alliance between the Bedouins and between the Jewish people in Israel. After that, in 1947, when the Palmach had difficulty to get intelligence and information in intelligence and information from the town Safad, the Igal Alon, the commander of the Palmach, asked the sheikh of El Heb tribe, Nasrin tribe, help, and the sheikh sent two of the tribe members to the town Safad, and the two members they arrested there and killed there. And until nowadays, their families don't know what happened with their bodies, because the Syrian military forces that been there hide their bodies. And when the State of Israel establishment in 1948, the Bedouins was the first minority group with the Druze that joined in the IDF. Firstly, as scouts, trackers, and after that, they succeed to integrate to the all units. Now we can find Bedouin soldiers in the all units. I myself, I serve in the Israeli Air Force. My members of my family serve in the all combat units. And the Bedouin community sacrificed 191 soldiers in the Israeli battles, and we don't have to serve. We volunteering. Every year, hundreds of Bedouin teenagers decided to volunteer to the army. For sure, you're asking yourself, what makes a Bedouin Muslim to serve in the army of the Jewish state? Is not only Jewish state. Israel is a Jewish and democracy state, and we have equal rights, and we think and we feeling that we have to make it an equal duties, because that we feel that is our duty to serve and to defend our country, our homeland. I studied in a public Christian school, and for sure you're asking yourself what keep a Bedouin child from the village. Went to Nazareth to study in a public Christian school. I studied in Franciscan nuns school. It's because the Christian school in Israel is the best school in the Israeli education system. Because that my parents prefer to send me to study there. And in this school in Nazareth, we have Christians and other Muslim students, not only Christians, all of them study together. And in my class, many of students define themselves as Palestinians, and because they saw themselves as Arabs and Palestinians, and this is what they educate. This is what they educated in their homes, and you can't find Arab Israelis that define themselves as Palestinians, and this is very normal in Israel. And when the teacher was asking us what you want to be when you be bigger, all of the students, they said, I want to be in engineering, doctor, lawyer. Only me, I said I want to be an officer and die there. I went officer and died there, but I had the pleasure to serve in the most military army in the world. And why I say that? Because I served in help and rescue unit, and our mission was to save lives. What's meant to save lives? My unit is a helicopters, Sikorsky helicopters CH-53. And when we had emergency siren, the pilots, the helicopters with the pilots and with the staff was departing to anywhere to help people that fall in emergency situation. And many times the pilots and our staff passed the borders to help people that not Israeli citizens. I remember that one time, many times we had emergency siren, and the staff and the pilots departed, and they landed in the Gaza borders and take a Palestinian child from Gaza Strip to take a medical aid in Israel. And every week, these helicopters take Syrian civilians that injured in the civil war in Syria to take a medical aid in the Israeli hospitals like in Tzfat and Nahariya. And this is what my unit doing. And not only my unit doing that, and the soldiers of the units that activating in the West Bank, in the churches and Gaza Strip many times and daily on a daily basis, they helping Palestinians that needed their help or medical aid. And you can see it in the Facebook or on the Army IDF Facebook or another in the media. After amazing 3 years with a holy job that my unit doing, I went to work in the Checkpoints Authority. And in the Checkpoints Authority also, I saw how much Israel helping the Palestinians, and not how the media trying to show us that the Israelis is all the time attacking the Palestinians. Every day, at least 70,000 Palestinians enter Israel to work, to worship, and to visit their families and to take medical aid. The majority to work. At least 70 Palestinian people enter every day to Israel to work legally, and at least 100,000 Palestinians enter to Israel. They in Israel, working in Israel, illegal. And the governments know that, but they want to let them to work and to live respectfully, because that they leave them to work. One time I asked one of these Palestinians why it's very important to you to tell to Israel to work. He felt free to speak with me because we're speaking the same language, Arabic, and he told me it's very simple, because what we get in pay in Israel is much more than what we get in pay in the West Bank. And in Israel, we have rights in the work that we haven't in the West Bank, because that is very important to us if we want to live in respectful life to work in Israel. I had my job in the Checkpoints Authority, and I started to study in Haifa University. And in Haifa University also, of the students, they are Arabs. And Lorena can justify me here because we study both study there. And you can find in one day in the campus, in one rally, on one side students waving the Palestinian flag, and the other side students waving the Israel flag, and you can hear dialogue and many opinions anti-Israel and anti-IDF, and nobody limits them, because we have democracy in the campus also, and nobody limits you to say what you think and your opinions. And after an hour, you can find the same students study side by side in the classroom. And for me, this is Israel. We working together, we live together, we study together, and we also serve in the army together. And Nizar is a Christian, served in the army. My family is a Jew, served in the army. Nasreen's father was a colonel in the Israeli army, and I served in the army. Jonathan served the national service. It's okay, not bad. But he is at least did something. It's okay. And in the same time when I start to study in university, in Haifa University, I start to prepare a Bedouin guys to involve to a special unit in the army, because I believe if you want to success in the Israeli society, you have and you should to do a military service. Why? Because the security situation, Israel is all the time under attack. And this made the Israeli society a security society, and is more acceptable for the society to accept you if you did a military service. It's not the Israelis, it's not the law, it's not the government, it's the situation. This is that we are all the time under terror attacks, because that is made the Israeli society to security society. And I began to prepare a Bedouin guys to integrate to special units, and I want to finish with a short video that explaining this activity with the Bedouin guys.
יעצב דמות האדם בישראל על ידי חיי המופת. חיי המופת שאמר יעצבו דמות האדם ודמות החברה הישראלית. תניחי המחוז הבדואי עוברים תהליך אינטנסיבי כהכנה לצבא. שירות משמעותי בצבא ההגנה לישראל. הם בונים דור העתיד של החברה הישראלית. החניכים האלה ביקרו שחקנים לבסיסייה, חלקו להם מבטקים, ביקרו חיילים פצועים בבתי חולים ואמרו להם אנחנו נלך דרככם. הם התעטפו בכחול לבן, וצעדו בכפרים, לזכר החיילים הבדואים, אשר חירפו את נפשם למען המדינה. הם תמיד הושיטו יד לתושבים בכפרים, ונזהרו שישמעו צורת השואה אסתר ממחנה הריכוז ביוגוסלביה באנגולה, והבטיחו לה לעולם לא עוד, אנחנו נתגייס שזה לא יקרה שוב. כל זה עשו הנוער הבדואי, אך הם עדיין זקוקים לדבר קטן, במיוחד בימים האלה שבהם השנאה מנסה להפריד בין כולם ולא עודד בין גזע ופיתה פנימיים. הם זקוקים לחיבוק כמו החיבוק שזה אשר. הם זקוקים לחיבוק של החברה הישראלית. אנחנו לא רק שדה הקרב יכולים להילחם יחד כתף אל כתף. אנחנו יכולים לעשות את זה גם באזרחות בחיי היום-יום.
Yes, that's what we're doing. Thank you so much.
So yeah, I did national service. My brother, he served in the police department for 3 years. He did his military service there. And my father actually was a soldier in the South Lebanon Army. In 1982, Israel helped to build an army in Lebanon. And the reason for that is that during the 60s and 70s, the civil war started in Lebanon, and everything was chaos. But what happened is that in some point, the extremists that were involved in the civil war, they decided to target the Christians. So they collaborated together from all sectors, and they targeted the Christians. The government didn't help us. No one in the area tried to help stop this from happening. And then we just knocked on Israel's door. My village is 2 kilometers, like 1 mile from the Israeli border. So they went there and they asked Israel, listen, help us, because the PLO that was at the time in Lebanon, they were targeting Israel. They were shooting rockets towards Israel. And they said, listen, we will help you prevent this from happening. We will protect your border, but help us protect our villages and our families. And since then, the collaboration between the Christians in South Lebanon with Israel started till 2000, when Israel decided to withdraw from South Lebanon. Then my father left Lebanon that day, and my mom, brother, and I, we joined him a 1.5 years later because life in Lebanon wasn't secure anymore for us. Hezbollah terrorist organization took over. They entered our villages and they started doing the same thing that the PLO did at that time. When we came to Israel, we found ourselves in a bit of a tough situation because from one hand, we are not Jews, so we're not part of the Jewish community. But from the other hand, we weren't accepted by the Arab society, and especially the Christian society. My father wanted to go and live in Haifa. It's one of the most beautiful cities that we have, and it's the most mixed city that you can see in Israel. And when we went there, they didn't accept us to their school. They said that we are traitors and we're not welcome, not in their churches, not in their schools or their communities. Although today when I'm trying to see what did we betray exactly, I can't find any. Because we didn't fight against the government. We didn't fight against Lebanese citizens. We didn't, the Lebanese, the IDF and South Lebanon Army never fought against Lebanese army. So who did I betray exactly? This question is still not solved till today for me and for a lot of people that always claim that to me. And these people that say that to me, I always ask them, will you say about the Christians that are now being beheaded in the Middle East by ISIS, will you say to them, to those that are fighting for their lives and trying to protect their families from this terror organization, will you say that they're traitors? I don't think so. No one will ever be able to do that because they know what is going on. We didn't have the media back then. No one said anything about what is going on to us. And after we came to Israel, we started sharing our stories. And that's when everyone started to understand what we went through in Lebanon. Okay. When we came to Israel, Israel built schools for us, for the South Lebanon kids. A lot of Israelis started to volunteer with us in order to help us and start our new life in Israel. And in my school, I was the only Arab-speaking kid. I didn't know any Hebrew back then, but it took me only 3 months to learn to speak fluent Hebrew because I needed someone to speak to. And no one, I studied at English school in Lebanon, that's why my English accent, but I studied in English school and no one in Israel speaks English at the age of 9, some of them even after 18. But I started this new life in a good environment. I joined the National Service because I didn't have enough high scores for the unit that I wanted to go to, the Army. So I didn't want to just be in any place. I wanted to contribute to the society that I live in. And I did it in a hospital in Haifa, in the Rambam Facility Hospital. And during my national service, I started encouraging other minorities in Israel to join the national service or the military service. Because we live in Israel. We are Israelis, even if you are only say that on paper. But we are Israelis, and we need to contribute to the society that we live in. We need to take part. If we want to change something, and we have things that we need to change in Israel for better. But if we want to change them, we need to be part of it to begin with. How can we change that if we are outsiders? And that's the message that I always say to people. If you want to change something, be part of it from the beginning. And the reason that I do that is because I think that Israel is really the only place that, for myself as well, I'm a Christian, I'm Lebanese, I never, I can say that I'm Lebanese in Israel, although it's an enemy state. And I have all the rights and all the ways to be able to share my stories and to be able to say those things. I don't have to choose to be an Israeli or a Lebanese. I can be both. And I want to finish because we don't have enough time and I want to give you the rights to ask us as many questions as you want. So I want to finish with a short video about Israel. I don't know if you can see that, but I love food. And I wanted to show Israel from the food perspective. Because we have so many backgrounds, so many different backgrounds, so many different cultures in Israel. And so I had a cooking show. It had 2 episodes. But I did the second episode about shakshuka. So for those of you who don't know what shakshuka is, you can see it. Oh, this is me when I was a child in Lebanon. I was really cute. Oh no, not this one. Sorry. This one. Yeah. I'm Jonathan. I'm here in the Mahdi Yehuda shop in Jerusalem to enjoy some shakshuka. Shakshuka is a dish made of tomatoes. When I grew up in Lebanon, people were killed at checkpoints for saying the word tomato in their one dialect. The Palestinian dialect is Bandura, but the Lebanese Christian dialect is Banadura. But now I'm in Israel, and here we say Akbaria, or as the famous line says, I say tomato, and you say tomato. So let's go enjoy some shakshuka in the show. Wow, you can even buy shakshuka in Bolekas. We are in the Mahdi Yehuda shop, and this is your place. What is it called?
It's a shakshuka house. It's called shakshuk, like market and shakshuka together. And now we show you how we make the shakshuka. So start to make it in the morning, big cow.
What are the sauce?
Onion, tomato, also garlic, all the things that I use is from this Mahdi Yehuda market. So we have here a few kinds of shakshuka. The eggplant, we do the eggplant on fire. We put all the inside of the eggplant, the olive, and we service a big bread. It is the best.
So what is so special with this shakshuka?
I tell you, when you cook with love and with your heart, you feel in the taste that it's special. My family, my friends, from Syria, and my grandfather from okay, from Kurdish, Hebrew, and also Arabic.
They live here in this city? Or
Yes.
So it's basically like this area over here, your own mixed cultures and religions over here.
Yes.
In the Mahdi Yehuda.
Yes.
Even your worker.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They are connecting really good.
Yes.
كان من الجانب العربي ومن الجانب اليهودي. بالآخر كلهم عربيين.
The people around here, who's your the people that come here to eat?
So we have all the Muslims that work here in the Mahdi Yehuda, and of course we have all the people here that come to the market to shop. Shopping.
العربي اليهودي ومسيحي أو مسلم كل ذلك تسعة.
And I want to tell you about the people that work in the Mahdi Yehuda. Also Jewish and Arabic, we work here together because we every day look each other and we eat together and if something happened, we are still together. Now I want to invite all the people, Arabic, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, all the people who come to eat here in Jerusalem. Food and come from my daily house, with love, all the people.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I had a great day here in the Mahdi Yehuda show, and I can't wait to show you more. Wish I could have shown you more about the show. So this is, I hope that we didn't bore you too much, but this is only the tip of the ice of story of Israel's minority. And I hope that we were able to share with you things that you didn't know. And if you want to know more, this is the time for you to ask. We're going to open the floor for Q&As. And I just ask, a lot of people just go and give statements at this point, but we'd like to ask you if you have a question, try and make it a question. Okay, good. They're going to be a microphone over here, so you can just come here.
Thank you for coming. I wanted to ask you, you talked a lot about how from your own community you felt that a lot of people didn't like that you were doing your service or that you were serving in the Army in that case. Did you find that you would find more negativity from Jews or other people in Israel about your service, or do you find more negativity from people in your homes? Like, did you get more negative vibes from, like, more negativity from other people, or your, like, or other Muslims or Christians in your own communities?
Nothing is perfect, you know, and in Israel also nothing is perfect, and we have extremist people on the both sides, Arabs and Jewish. And you can find that we not accept Jewish people, and we not accept for Arab people. But the majority in Israel, that many people don't know that, especially in the world, not the people that live in Israel, because we know what's wrong in Israel. We really live together, Jews and Arabs, and we work together, and we study together, and people think it's we doing together. And your question, I can answer you with examples on the both sides, that I experienced racism from Jewish people, extremist Jewish people, and I experienced racism from extremist Muslims or Arab people. But the majority in Israel want to live together in peace and in safety, and this is what important for us. We don't care about what the world or about extremist people think or speaking. We want to make the society in Israel better more and more. And because of that, we're doing national service and military service, and we saw activity in our community to make this coexistence that all the people are speaking about it. And I think that we already get coexistence, but we have to make it more and more strong.
I have a question. You all have talked about that, you know, Israel is an imperfect place, right? As every country really is, and that there's change. What would you like to see change?
In Israel? First of all, I want to see change in the Middle East. And in Israel, I think that we are, the situation in Israel is better than the Middle East, what's happening in the Middle East. And then I want, as an Arab, as a Muslim, I want to see change in the Middle East. I want to see peace in the Middle East. I want to stop the war, the civil war, and the brothers' war in the Middle East. And I wish and I pray that one day that our neighborhood country will come and be like Israel. As a minority in Israel, I had a chance that I want to see more and more Arabs involved in the Israeli society, and more minorities integrate in the army, in the workplaces, and everywhere. This is the change that I want to see. My dream is our dream is so tiny if we compare it with the dreams of the other people and the minorities that are. Yes. Okay. Yes. No, just wait.
So you guys talked like a lot about peace and stuff, like because I'm Arab, so like I might have a different point of view on it. So I'm just wondering, like, how do you want peace if the UN decides like Israel should stop building like illegal settlements in the West Bank, and Israel keeps doing that, and you guys want Arabs to have peace with that when you're like kicking people out of their homes, basically.
Again.
about the UN. The UN, in my eyes, is the most bureaucracy place in the world because who is leading is a countries that money is doing everything. About the settlements, the settlements is it's really so a problem because Israel, the Israelis themselves, you can find Israelis that will support the settlements, and another Israelis, like in the left parties, is against the settlements. We have a dialogue about it, and it's so good. It's really good that to hear a dialogue in Israel about the settlements. But I think before we speaking about the settlements, we have to speak about the whose refuse any peace accords, and we can go back to the history. From 1936, who was refused the first partition clause and the second partition plan, and Oslo Accords and Camp David Accords, and in 2009, Olmert. Was it in it was in 2007 or wait? Olmert gave the Palestinians 99% of the West Bank, and Ehud Barak the same, 99% of the West Bank, and gave them the east of Jerusalem, and they refused it. And you can find in the Palestinian media incitement calling for hate, and you see here a Palestinian students in the States calling for intifada. If they was know or felt or experienced what is intifada, I'm sure that they never call it, because intifada is violence, is blood, and the both sides.
Yeah, I understand that. Like if you want to talk in 1967, we took Gaza and the West Bank.
Okay.
Okay, but then you guys like invaded it and you came back.
Okay.
So I just want to understand, like you guys talk peace, and I want peace also.
Okay.
But I don't understand, like, okay, give us the West Bank, and okay, we'll be fine with that.
Okay.
But like I've seen it also, because like I have relatives back in the West Bank.
Mm-hmm.
They say all we want is to stay in our homes. But when like the army comes and says we want to use your house to like use it as surveillance and kicks them out of their house, how do you think that's fair?
It's not true. It's not true, because we are soldiers and we serve in the West Bank. Okay, and we know what happened in the West Bank. It's never happened that soldiers came and kick out people that live. Give me to answer you. That live in their homes. Do you know what? Not the Palestinians. Israeli movements and Israeli left movements like Ta'ayush, like Adala, like B'Tselem. All of them Israeli movements and Jewish activity there. They every day doing doing surveillance for the Palestinian people. And I don't know if you heard about the settlement Amona. Do you know what happened in Amona? Amona, the Israeli courts found that is the lands there belong to the Palestinian people, and the Palestinian people never knew that. Israeli movement, Jewish movement, came to these people and they told them this land belongs to you, and you have to go to the courts and to take your lands back. And when the Palestinians went to the Israeli courts judged for the Palestinians that is their land, and the Israeli government kicked out the Jews from this settlements, and this is Israel, and who is all the time extend their hand for peace was the Israelis, and the other side extend their weapons and their attacks against the Israelis. I'm speaking with you as an Arab Muslim, that the Arabs and Muslim and the Palestinians is very important to me also. But when the Hamas, a terror organization, using their people for their terror agenda and for the terror activists. That's what happened. That's what's wrong. The Israelis left Gaza Strip in 2005, and what we get from Gaza Strip? Only rockets and only wars and only operations. I saw in my eyes jet fighters back to my base, and with the old weapons, because in the target area was civilians that the Hamas used them as human shield against the Israeli army, against the jet fighters, because they know if the pilots and if the jet fighters see civilians in the target area, they will not attack, and this is what happened. This is.
I don't want to talk politics. I'm just talking like you said. I understand that there are Jewish people who want peace and stuff, but and also Arabs want that. But the army just keeps invading too much. Don't you think that's a problem?
If you want to use the terror for your war, the Israeli army have to defend the Israeli citizens. You have to choose your way. You can choose a peace way to get peace, and you can choose a terror way to get what you want. And the Palestinians, I'm so sorry about to say that, but the Palestinians until now, they're using the terror way and the hate way to get peace. And terror and hate and violence and incitement against the Israelis only because they are Jews is not the way to get peace. This is what I can see. Thank you. Yeah.
But us, we have relatives and we have Jews that say we live peacefully with Muslims. And we have,
but when the government and when the Hamas using okay, but Hamas is not activity in the West Bank. No, and the last 10 terror attacks was from the West Bank was by a Hamas activists, and they don't control the West Bank. Okay, not control, but there is some activity there. And the last terror attacks by the Palestinian people, by Palestinian teenagers, that they are victims from the Hamas propaganda that using them for their agenda, for their interests, was from Hamas activity. Okay, do you want to speak not about Hamas, about the Palestinian Authority? Okay, the civilians, they are victims. I accept with you that they are victims, but not the Israeli victims. They are the Palestinian Authority corruption and the Palestinian Authority incitement victims. Nobody kicked anybody from their homes. I invite you to come to the West Bank and to see that. Okay, I have I promise you that nobody kicked anybody from their homes. This is a propaganda that many movements used it for their agenda and for their. This is my answer. Thank you so much. I want to let other people to ask another question. Hello, Rahid.
My mom's from Stockholm, because my mom's Canada. My dad is North Lebanon. I was also born in Houston. I just wanted some clarification on the statements, because I know Christians and Druze are protected in Lebanon. They have same rights as any other citizen. So, and also a lot of people don't know the president in Lebanon is Christian. So I just wanted some clarification for that one.
The president is Christian because this is the Lebanese law. It says that every office needs to be occupied by a different religion, not because he's the favorite one, or not because he must be Christian to be a president. And a Catholic Christian, not Maronite Christian. Sorry, I can be the Lebanese president because I'm a Greek Orthodox. And your other question was, if you are protected. Well, let me put it this way. We used to be 80% of Lebanon, Christians. Today, do you know how many Christians live in Lebanon? 40%, even less. The reason that we don't have any survey, like population, we don't have that since the 50s, is because we know that Christians in Lebanon are not on the upper hand anymore. And because if they found out that they're now less than 40 or 30, the status quo of the parliament will change, and Christians will not be able to have enough votes to keep them safe. What is going on in the south and the north are really different, because Hezbollah is controlling the south. Because their only agenda, what interests them really, is not is fighting against Israel. That's the reason that they are in the north and not in the south.
No, in Syria.
No, yeah, they're fighting in Syria. Hassan Nasrallah said when he started his movement, he said that he wanted to make, that he wants, still up to date, he wanted to make a Shia Khalifa in Lebanon. This is his agenda. This is what he wants. He's now in the government, he's now controlling everything. And the situation, I know that your parents probably did go through the civil war. Your dad did. The Trumps. But the situation in the south, because the terrorist organization located in the south, the government didn't do anything to go in and protect us. We didn't have any Lebanese army over there. We didn't have any. We had the Muhtars, that's like the mayors of each village, but it didn't really have any power because it didn't have people to protect. And this is what we went through. This is what I experienced when I was a child. I didn't experience that from the Israeli officers when they were in our area. More than that, Israel rebuilt hospitals, rebuilt power stations, rebuilt water systems, and rebuilt many of our local places that we could have gone and played there. What happened when Israel left? Hezbollah destroyed everything. I don't know why they did that, but the situation till today in many of the villages, you visited Lebanon lately?
I go every year, every summer.
Do you go to the south?
Yes, that's where I spend most of my time.
Yeah. So I still to today speak with many, not with my family because I want them safe, but many people speak to me from a third party, not when I meet them here in the States. And many of them tell me that their relatives till today are not feeling safe because of Hezbollah presence over there. They came to some villages and they shut down the stores that used to sell alcohol because it's forbidden for Muslims to drink alcohol. They occupied a lot of their villages, and they can't have their freedom only in their own small zone. But when they go out of their villages, they are not protected over there.
I've been actually to the territory, and I never felt not unsafe or anything. I'm not only a Lebanese citizen, I'm an American citizen as well. I went over there. Talked to the people. Actually, the village right next to mine is Shia. They're very nice people. Not saying they're not necessarily Hezbollah.
Of course, they're not. Not everyone in the south is Hezbollah.
Yeah, no.
Not every Shia is Hezbollah. We had Shia in the south in our army as well.
And a lot of people in the area, I just don't see Christians persecuted. I've even been in the Hezbollah territory. It was actually during Ramadan, and my mother was very hungry. We were touring all of Lebanon that year because my dad had never seen. We've been to our villages, but never been around. And even though it was during Ramadan, it was Hezbollah territory. My mother she has MS, so she was very hungry and thirsty. She went to one of the stores and it was still daytime, and they said, "Oh, we've been going around." And I can say it with Arabic, who halala, because she was traveling or whatever, and he offered her
one
food
this
and-
one. The guy.
Make it.
Yeah, he offered her food and drink
Yeah.
and all that. and I just never ever.
Of course, no, I don't think that, did I present that everything, like, they're like persecuted today, every day? I don't think that I did that.
Like that was Hezbollah territory. They were.
Yeah, but even in Hezbollah territory, there are good people. And even, I know a lot of Shia that are against Hezbollah. I know a lot of them that they're not agreeing with what they're doing. I know that a lot of them want to live in this way. I think that the majority of people want to live this way. But our main problem is always the head of who is the one that is leading their people, who's the one that is leading them. Hassan Nasrallah, I don't know how he's still running his organization and still underground for 14 years.
I think that is a different situation. If you was go there and you say that you it's not acceptable for you that Hezbollah is now activity in Syria and the civil war in Syria, that you will find yourself as not in the Hezbollah area. Because you are tourists there and you don't have any agenda against the Hezbollah and you don't make any threat against Hezbollah. Hezbollah don't have anything, any issue with you. But if you was say a war, one war against Hezbollah, you will find yourself not in this area. It's a different situation. You are a Lebanese citizen, and you are you went there for tourists. You don't have any agenda, anything, because that is you can't find any reason for Hezbollah to be against you or to do something horrible. This is that. Is very different situation, and what's happened in 1982 and civil war in Lebanon is so different. It was a horrible war between the all Lebanese minorities, and this is a different situation that you can't comparing what happening nowadays there and what happened in this time. This is my opinion. Thanks.
Also, I'm not Druze, so I cannot speak for you, but I do know there are Druze in our government that they are protected, from what I know. But I don't know if you want to say.
I know a lot of people that are not protected there. I speak like with the people that I have a connection with them, and it's not and nowadays it's not very safe there. So you can see the difference between the last periods and centers and now. So,
I have to add something about Hezbollah. Hezbollah, I think that they are the tool of the Iranian regime in the Middle East and in Lebanon, because Hezbollah, before the civil war in Syria, they say, Hassan Nasrallah said, we are the protectors of Palestine. We are the protectors of Palestinian land. We want to attack the Israelis and to take Shib'a farms to Lebanon back. But now you can find that the Hezbollah don't care about what Palestine. It's care about what happened in Syria. It's care to that Bashar Assad is still in the government. Bashar Assad is still president in Syria, and they're fighting in Syria, and they lost many activities. I don't want to say soldiers because they are tourists and not soldiers, and they lost many activities there. If the Hezbollah was really care about Lebanon and about the Palestinians, wasn't entitled to the civil war in Syria. This is Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a tool by the Iranian regime.
And if they really care about the Palestinians, they will not let them stay in in refugee camps 70 years after
Yeah.
they are in
Do you know what wrong in El Hilwi camp?
It's actually right next to my lab.
Okay, and do you know what's happening there? You heard about the wall that the Lebanese government put there to separate them from the other cities?
Yes.
Okay. It's not ISIS. It's to separate the Palestinian people from the Lebanese people. I want to ask you another question. Why the Palestinians in Lebanon can't work in a government jobs? Why they still refugees? Why they don't get they don't give them the Lebanese citizenship? In Syria, it's also the same. In Yarmouk camp. Do you know what happened there? They murdered the old people there. And I have to say that the Palestinian people, that the refugees camp in the West Bank, they live a much more better, much more than the life, more than the Palestinians live in Lebanon and in Syria and in Jordan also, and in everywhere in the world. And you can check it with anybody that you want. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Allah khayr, shukran.
I have a quick question for Nasreen. You said your father was the first Arab colonel?
Yeah.
In Hashem Shalom.
Sen el-Hib.
Hussein el-Hib.
Sen el-Hib.
Hussein el-Hib in the Hebrew accent.
So I was just wondering, thank you by the way for having conversation about this. I wanted to ask if you've ever considered having another perspective on your table, just like another Palestinian or just another civilian from the Arab world.
Actually, we had a Palestinian in the previous tour, but he wasn't able to come on this tour.
So I feel that whenever I hear you guys and your stories, they're extraordinary stories that have led you to both come and love Israel for what you guys have stayed and chosen to live there and chosen to live. But I'm not hearing a lot of really ordinary stories from other people who live in Israel or who live in their countries, their perception on it. So I grew up Algerian, so I wasn't familiar with the conflict, and then I met people from both sides, and I kind of formed or sort of my own opinion. And that's something I wish for other people that they can see in America. Because as you know, America is very pro-Israel. And so, and you guys might disagree with me on that, but a lot of the funding shows the story, the truth. And I think it's important to have both sides of the story, especially when you're discussing it with college students and just people. Because I saw when you opened up with that video with the Palestinian group, I think in those are just kids. They're 18, 19. How could you blame how they react? All that they know is stories from their parents, places, their home country they can't even go back to. And that's all they know.
When a person calls for intifada, he knows what he's calling for. So when a 20, 18, 19, 20 years old person say, intifada, intifada, we support the intifada, that means murder, that means exploded buses, that means innocent people being killed. They're not fighting against military. It's terror attacks. And when an 18, 19, 20 years old grown-up person calls for that, he's grown up. They're not kids. When they spit on you, when they kick you, when they attack you, when they call you to die, although when they call you white and I'm not even white, they're not kids.
I agree with that. I think the way they handled it wasn't the best way at all. And I'm sorry you had to go through that. But I also know that these kids have been through a lot of pain. And that's something that they haven't been taught how to react. There's not a lot of representation. And so I think if people to open up with that, I think it's just a little saddening to me because there's
tons of activists that react in a better way and to open up with college students who do that. It's a little disheartening to look at that.
Yeah, we've been to Berkeley, UCLA, Irvine, Columbia University. We've been, they even attacked us in the synagogue once. We had an event in New York in the synagogue, and they attacked us inside the synagogue. We've experienced a lot, and because we think differently. Our voices are usually not heard. Of the minorities in Israel that speak in favor of Israel, that say that they're full Israelis, that say that they want to serve and they want to be in the military or they want to be in national service. Because a lot of the environment that we are living in are environment of not collaboration. They're environment that what they promote is more incitement and more hatred. And it only makes separations between the people. Our main goal is to expose our side. Everyone here speaks for his own. We're not speaking in the name of our, not that. I think that it's really obvious. We're not Israeli official government personnel, so we don't speak for the government, but we don't even speak to the whole community that we present. Everyone speaks for his own. I think that's really important for all of you here to hear as well. But forgive me if I don't agree with your statement, because we all the time see anti-Israeli activity on college campuses, on the media. Wherever I go and I say that I'm Israel, although here in Texas it's really different. But everywhere I go, I take an Uber or I take a cab and I say Israel, they will be like, oh. And I don't want to feel that way. I toured the States. I have been to more than 80 campuses. I've met with Jewish students. I've met with non-Jewish students that support Israel. And every time when they say, okay, that's good that you're speaking as well, because when I say that opinion and the people that I'm surrounding with, they will look at me strange. They will attack me, not physical attacks, but they will attack him verbally. And they don't feel comfortable exposing these words. So what we want to do is, that's what we're doing, is to try and build this platform to let these people express themselves, to let these people have their own freedom of expression towards Israel. And like this panel, there are many anti-Israeli panels as well. And I'm saying anti-Israelis and not pro-Palestinians because they're only anti. They're not promoting anything. They're not promoting peace agenda. They're not promoting talks between Israelis and Palestinians. They're promoting intifada, but not all of them. I don't want to be like general here. But this is what is going on, and we wanted to show something different. So that's why this panel is in this way, and this is why that's what we say. All of us have a lot of things to say and change about Israel for the better. But we chose this time not to speak about it because this is something I think that this is an internal thing that we will figure it out and we will change it in Israel. But we want to show this face as well of Israel. In the last tour, we called it Arabs Breaking the Silence. Because for many years, a lot of Arabs were afraid to express this kind of thinking. And I'm really happy that today we are in a different way, and that today we have this amazing group of activists, that everyone is an activist in his own community. That's the beauty of it. And that's what we want to promote. We want to promote a dialogue, we want to promote working together, and this is what we are doing.
Great, I think that's important. Communication is super important. I think you guys are minorities in Israel for reasons, and I think you have to really look at that reason and maybe bring in other sides as well, just so we all can understand that reason. Thank you.
Oh, we are 20 minutes after our time. Okay. Last question.
Sorry. Speaking about that, I know a little bit about it, but I don't know that much. And I feel like a lot of people don't know about how do you feel that you're represented in government? Because obviously you are minorities and Israel is a democracy. So how do you feel that you're represented in government and how you want to push your agenda and how you all have opinions on how Israel should change for the better. Do you feel like you are being represented, and do you wish that there was a different way that you would be represented?
Okay. I don't know you know that the third biggest partner in the Knesset there is the Arab Party, הרשימה המשותפת, القائمة المشتركة in Arabic. 12 members of this party, they are Arabs, and one Jewish, and we have another 2 members of the Knesset Arabs, and 4 Druze members of the Knesset and the other Zionist party. This is in the Knesset. We have members of the Knesset, and we have the Druze. We have a ministry, Ayub Kara. He is a minister of the media and communication. And I want to give you an example about the judge system in Israel, court system in Israel. So the judgment that judged and sent the Israeli president, Moshe Katsav, to 7 years in the jail was an Arab Christian, Salim Jubran. Minority Christians, Arab, judged the Israeli president and sent them to 7 years in the jail. And Nasrin father, colonel in the army. We have money